Okay, so you know how everyone always talks about like failure is good and we should embrace our mistakes,
Right.
but like deep down, who actually likes the idea of messing up?
Totally. Nobody wants to fail. It's like hardwired.
Exactly. So today we're going to unpack all that, diving deep into this book, from setback to comeback.
Ooh, good one.
It's less about avoiding failure and more about using it as fuel for growth.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it like, by the end of this deep dive, you'll not only fear failure
You
less,
might actually
you
even,
might even start, I don't know, kind of looking forward to it.
in a good way.
In a good way, I promise. So, to kick things off, what's this book's take on reframing failure?
It all comes down to changing our perspective. The book emphasizes that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's like a crucial part of the journey.
Okay, I like that.
Especially in today's world, where everything changes so fast.
Yeah.
Resilience is like not just a nice to have skill,
Right.
it's essential. It's got to be there.
Yeah, it's like you don't learn to ride a bike without like a few scrapes along the way.
Exactly. You fall off, you get back
You
on.
get back on, you learn.
You learn from those falls.
Okay, so that's how we should view it. But why are we so afraid of failing in the first place? The book digs into the psychology behind this fear.
Right? It does. And it's super interesting. Like, we're kind of wired to avoid danger, right?
Right.
For our ancestors, a failure could mean like no food, no shelter,
Yeah.
even death.
Real stakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to now, we've got all these societal pressures on top of that.
Notably.
We're taught that failure means we're failures as people.
Ooh, yeah. It's like internalized.
It gets internalized,
Yeah.
and it's no wonder it paralyzes us.
Ugh, it's the worst. Speaking of paralyzed, I remember in college, there was this presentation I had to give.
Uh-oh.
And I was so terrified of messing it up, like completely bombing.
Yeah.
I almost skipped the whole thing.
Wow.
Looking back, I realized that would have been the bigger failure,
Oh, absolutely.
But it just shows how deep that fear runs.
It really does.
So to combat that fear, the book introduces this idea of a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset.
Yes,
Can you break those down for us?
absolutely. So with a fixed mindset, you see failure as like a permanent label.
Like a stamp.
Yeah, like you are a failure. It's part of your identity.
Whoa.
Whereas a growth mindset views failure as like data, information to learn from.
Okay.
It's not about you as a person, it's about the process. The book uses this great example.
Okay.
Thomas Edison and the light bulb. You know the story.
10,000 tries.
Yes, it took him like 10,000 tries to get it right. So did he fail 9,999 times? Or did he just find 9,999 ways that didn't work?
Wow. That's such a good way to look at it.
Right.
Okay, so we've identified our fears. We're adopting that growth mindset. But how do we actually use failure to get ahead?
That's where the book gets really practical. It walks you through dissecting past failures, but not in a way that makes you feel bad about yourself.
Right.
It's about mining them for like nuggets of wisdom.
Okay, I'm listening.
It has you ask key questions like, what went wrong? What could I have done differently? And what's the big lesson I can take away for next time?
I like that. Super actionable.
It even gives tips on like how to get good feedback, even when it's tough to hear.
Oh, feedback. That's a tough one.
It can be.
I always struggle with that, especially when it feels, personal.
Oh, yeah, I get it. It's easy to take it that way.
Do you have any tips on how to get better at receiving feedback, even if it stings a bit?
Honestly, the biggest thing is trying to view feedback as like information, not a personal attack.
Okay.
It's someone giving you data points, even if they're not always delivered in like the best way.
Right.
The book has some great strategies for like reframing how we receive feedback, making it feel less threatening and more constructive.
Love that. And, this ties into another big challenge, perfectionism.
Yes,
Yes.
perfectionism is a killer.
It can really prevent us from embracing failure, because we're so afraid of not being perfect, we don't even try.
Totally. The book talks about how we need to embrace imperfection while still, striving for excellence.
That sounds tricky.
It is a balance, but it's about finding that sweet spot between pushing yourself and accepting that good enough really is sometimes like good enough.
Oh, if it ever. I once spent hours trying to craft the perfect email invite for a party.
No way.
Ended up sending it out so late that everyone already had plans.
Oh, no.
My perfectionism totally sabotaged the whole thing. So to recap, we're ditching that fear of failure, accepting feedback, letting go of perfectionism. How do we actually move past that fear and use these setbacks to our advantage. That's where the idea of failing forward comes in, right?
Yes, and this is where things get really interesting. The book talks about anti-fragility.
Anti-fragility.
So,
How
like,
about
imagine something that actually gets stronger when it's stressed. Like, think of muscles growing after a workout.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
They're torn down, but they rebuild stronger.
Okay, yeah.
That's anti-fragility.
So we want to be like muscles.
Exactly. The key is figuring out how to apply that to your own life. Like,
Mm.
can your career, your personal growth, even your relationships become anti-fragile?
That's a really cool concept. It almost makes you want to, like, seek out challenges.
In a way, yes.
But the book also reminds us that we don't have to go through this alone, right?
Absolutely not. Like,
Yeah.
sharing our struggles and wins with mentors, friends, even just a supportive peer can make a huge difference.
Totally. We're social creatures after all. That support system is so crucial.
So important.
Honestly, I wouldn't be where I am today without my mentor. She helped me through some really tough spots
Yeah.
and taught me so much about navigating setbacks.
That's amazing.
Mentors are the best.
Okay, so to bring it all together, failure will happen. That's just life.
Yeah.
But what truly matters is our response. And this deep dive, hopefully, has given you some tools to respond strategically, turning those setbacks into, like, major comebacks.
I think it has. This has been so insightful.
Glad to hear it. One final thought I'll leave you with. What if, instead of viewing life as a series of pass-fail tests,
Okay.
you viewed it as a series of experiments?
Ooh, I like that.
How would that change your approach to risk-taking? What would you try if failure was just, like, data on your path to success?
Wow, that's a really powerful image to end on. Thanks so much for diving deep with us today.
My pleasure.
This has been awesome.
Anytime.
All right, till next time.
See ya.
Bye.